welcome to another edition of GW Unspoken, where we discuss stuff we don't typically talk about, but probably should. This is not a season or specific episode about social, emotional, mental health and well-being, but this is one that I've been asked to do, and I'm hoping there's a follow-up to this edition because I want to talk about my recent trip to India, which was very, very, what's the word they use? It's not necessarily negative, it's fascinating. Well, the start of the trip was fascinating, but the rest was like amazing. So, look, it's a bit of a story, a bit of a journey. This podcast could be all over shop. I'm trying to remember what actually happened. This is like about 1.5 months ago, and maybe 7 or 8 weeks. Yeah, and I'll start the story now. So what happened was I wrote on my goals list, like I wrote down 100 goals on New Year's Eve. Usually I have 4 columns, 25 goals in each column, and then I put them on a big whiteboard or like big A3 sticky sheet to put on the wall and look at it every single day when I walk in and do some work. And it's not necessarily about, starting and going overboard. It's just looking at it. So incidentally, it goes into my brain. So, those four sections might be family, health, finance, growth, or whatever it might be. And one of them was travel. And this year I put on there, what was it? I think it was, I'll just go up here, hang on. Oh, yeah, India, America, and then back to the UK. So, and for some reason, something was drawing me to India. Now, I have a marketing guy, he's a legend, Hunamundra over there. Shout out to you, mate. And he's doing all my marketing on Facebook and social media and things like that because, as people know, I hate that kind of stuff. I hate getting on social media, and it's definitely not my skill set. But he's been a great help over there and supporting me, and he and his team, very professional. Anyway, I just said to Rachel, I've got to go. I've got to go over there for some reason. Something's drawing me over to India. And I spoke to Hunamundra, we call him H, and he said, yeah, mate, come over and we'll organise a motel for you, not too far from me, and, we'll spend a few days together and you can really tell me, the idea was for me to give H a massive emotional buy-in to what Education Made Simple is going to do, like the whole goal of supporting so many teachers and students out there, and also the wider community and parents and caregivers. That's the heart. So I've got to give him, yes, people are saying you're crazy. Why don't you just do it on Skype? You can still read body language. And I said, I've got to be present in there, just explain and understand what it means. So look, I saved a bit of money and organised a trip. So I had it already in advance to go, 4 weeks, 3 weeks down, 2 weeks to go, and I was counting down, just so excited, couldn't wait to go, and going out there by myself, and a foreign country I've never been to, and just pumped. For some reason, I was just pumped to go. Anyway, got to like a few days out, I just started feeling like there's something going to go wrong. My passport's going to bounce or something. Like the passport was brand new, like I renewed it, and I just felt something was going to go wrong. But I got to the airport, and Rach came there with me. It was like a 9:15 a.m. plane from International America in Brisbane. And I got in there about 6:15. And so went to check in, and then the lady who's helping us check in and just goes, "Oh, where's your e-visa?" And I went, "Oh, here it is." And they go, "No, that's your visa. Where's your e-visa?" And people out there are going to listen and go, "Oh my God, are you for real, Gary?" Like I had no idea I needed an e-visa, even though I've been in the UK before. So I hadn't had an e-visa ready. And I said, "Well, I don't have one." And they go, "Well, this often takes days to you put it in and it actually says, yeah, it's okay, it's been approved." And of course I hit the stress button. I knew. And they said, "Look, go downstairs, grab a coffee. It's actually not a hard form to do and it may fast process. So, just get it done." Anyway, an hour and a half of struggling, and it kept timing us out. We had brother-in-law, son-in-law, Rachel on one laptop, me on my phone, trying to get these forms done. And for some reason, it kept logging us out. So I went back upstairs, saw the same lady, and she said, "Look, let me do it for you on your phone." And so she started doing it on my phone. And she got straight through and fixed it all up. And she said, and she filled out the details. She was asking me and all the information, personal information, etc. And I paid the money. I think it was about $100 what it was. And she said, "You're right. Now listen," she said, I think typically they give you a bit of a scare tactic. I think this will actually be done for you in the next few hours. It'll actually be approved, so you'll be fine." And I'm like, oh, and I'm stressed out about to go on a plane. So I'm going from a great mood, have a coffee with my wife before I go on a plane, about to go, this is going to be awesome, to stressed out to the max to eventually get it done. Yep, you're okay. Said goodbye, jumped on the plane, On the plane over there to, I think the first stop was Singapore. I was there for, I think, about 5 or 6 hours it was. So on a plane, just relaxed, I watched one movie and then straight into doing some work and mainly a little reading. And then flew into Singapore and then I think went and got something to eat in the airport and was just chilling out. And the next plane was supposed to leave, I think about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, if I get that right. And I kept asking what was going on, checking the times. And then I went to board, it must have been a bit later, I went to board and in the meantime I kept looking at this progression of the e-visa and it had four circular dots and they kept filling in saying this one's done, stage 2 is done, stage 3 has been approved, now just waiting for the last one. And the last one it wasn't being approved. And so I was texting my wife back and we chatted what I was doing and WhatsApp, and she was saying, I think I have a bad feeling about this. It's not approving. Don't let it go. I got to check in, and as I went through the security, they've gone, mate, what are you doing? You can't come here. You haven't got your e-visa approved. And I said, oh no, the lady said it'll be fine. Like it's ready to go. And she's like, no, it's the 4th section's not done. We can't let you go into the next country into Chennai with that because it hasn't been approved. And I'm like, what do you mean? And then they said, is this your bag? And they showed me a screenshot of my bag a few minutes later going underneath the plane in the cargo area. And I said, yeah. They said, yeah, we're ripping it off. You can't go. And my dream was just shattered. Like my dream was shattered. I was going to India. I'm like, I'm cooked here. I can't do anything. And it was going to be a quick turnaround. So going to India was only going to be arriving early Tuesday morning. I think it was going to be a 6-hour train ride to get to where I need to be in Durham. And I was thinking, even if I sort another plane out when it gets approved, if it gets approved soon, I'm not going to have much time in India now. So what's going on? And my wife said, just turn around, just come home. You just have to do it another time. And it wasn't necessarily the money that was, like, it was still painful that I was going to lose that money, but it was more stress around, number one, how could I be so incompetent and not giving myself an e-visa and be prepared for that? And 2, usually I've got a pretty good attitude of saying there's a workaround. There's always a workaround. Like I always have that mantra, there's a workaround. We can do it somehow. We'll get there somehow. So anyway, I've contacted H and said, mate, I'm not coming. Like, I don't think I can come because the EV hasn't been approved. And he said, leave it with me. And so I'm like, well, what's he going to do? Like maybe he's got some contacts over there, but even that can't fast track the process. And so what I did was I went down to the lounge area and it must have been, I don't know, it must have been about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And I sat down there was like about 20 people just sitting there just half asleep or putting the headphones on, and they must be like waiting for connecting flights. And I'm just sitting there going, okay, I got to manifest this. I can't fail at this. I've got to get to India. They're going to approve this EVs and I'll catch the next plane. So in the meantime, looked up what the next planes were on. The next plane was leaving about 4:30 in the morning. And I said, I will stay in this airport for 7 or 8 hours if I can get on that one, because I'll only be like, a quarter of a day behind, so I can still make this work. So I'm waiting there, I'm manifesting away as much as I can. Rachel's like, just find yourself a place in Singapore to stay, like go to a motel. And I'm like, no, I can't, because if this gets approved, I'm catching the 4 a.m. flight. I've got to wait here. So I'm sitting there listening to headphones and manifesting good things. And Dad said within 45 minutes, H messages me and sends me a screenshot. It's been approved. You're ready to go. And I looked at it, double checked it, and it had all the 4 dots filled in. I said, who do you know? Like, you know somebody? He goes, I don't know anyone. I was just sort of ringing my end to see if they can fast track it all. And for some reason, you got on a website where it actually been approved, but it was taking a long time to come to my mobile as an email to say it's been approved. So I was just elated. So I've gone into the airport. I've asked them to get a new ticket. They said, not here. You have to go catch the train in between the terminals. So I jumped on that, went over there, and they said, yep, we can get you on, but the plane you're going to go on is not recognised by any of the people who service those areas on the desk. So you have to do it online. So I did it online. Okay, now you have to check out of Singapore and then check back in using the airline. And I'm like, what? So yeah, you have to fill out the immigration form. I said, but I'm just staying here. I'm just like, I'm still leaving from here. Yep, you'll have to do that. And I'm like, okay, no worries. Look, I've got 5 hours. So it's by now 11:30 at night. So I go down the escalator. I'm about to sign in, and next thing, the guy who's helped me out comes down and he goes, oh, no, it's okay. I've got someone, just wait here 5 minutes. I think we can get you on by bypassing the immigration and we'll organise your bags to come onto the right plane now. All right. So I'm waiting there. Honestly, it was about 10 minutes. He and I stand together. Yep, you're sweet. Your bags have been sorted. You go to this terminal at 4:05 a.m. and when you get there, they'll give you the boarding passes and the ticket to say that your actual baggage is fine, but baggage claim at that Chennai. All right, fine. And so I'm just elated, right? So I've just gone to the nearest pub. I've grabbed a big schooner of beer and I've drunk that. And I'm like, okay, it's now midnight. I'm going to focus again. So I got out and I've started doing this behavior support course. I got the online course out like a nerd and I'm sitting there in the bar having now a soda water and just stoked on this. And I was just so proud going, I told you there's always a workaround in my brain. I'm like, I told you, I knew there's a workaround. This is part of a journey. So stoked. So you can imagine the emotions, right? Excited to go, hit a barrier, can't go, bags off, waiting. Now you can go again. You have to wait till 4:05 in the morning. So I've had no sleep since the night before. And I'm like, okay, this is it. I've nearly had, I'm going to wait for 24 hours, but I'm about to get the plane. So anyway, one of the guys there who works in the airport says, hey, are you Gary Woodford? Yeah. He said, oh, can you come to the front of the line? We've got your tickets for you. I'm like, stoked. So, go to the front of the plane. And this is not racist, but I'm the only white guy on the plane and everyone's looking at me jump in the queue. So I'm feeling bad as well that I'm, people are waiting before me. Anyway, I'm waiting in the corner, and then they open up the security check-in to go to Chennai and they let everyone else in. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. I'm like, what's going on? And eventually they said, oh, you can come through now. Come through and here's your boarding pass. Gave me my boarding passes and I went to scan it to go through and they said, show me your passport. Gave them the passport and they said, you can't get on the plane. And you picture like this is 4:45 in the morning, no sleep. I've gone from not going on a plane to you're back to you're not going again, waiting all that time. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? And they said, your details of your passport does not match the ticket to go in. I said, what do you mean? They said, well, your e-visa does not match your normal visa. And I said, but the pictures are the same. I've been approved this long to get here. What do you mean? So no, it's missing your middle name. Your e-visa is missing your middle name, Wayne. Gary Wayne Woodford. It doesn't say it on there. But on your passport, it does say Wayne, so they have to exactly match to allow you in the country. And so I'm like trying to be polite. I'm just like, I understand there's a mistake, but the lady at Brisbane, I'm not blaming her, but she actually helped me put the details in. The middle name was not put in. I was allowed to go catch a plane international from Brisbane. I've come in here. I've been approved now by my e-visa has been actually approved. So that's based on the details I've had from my visa. And they're like, it doesn't match. We can't let you in. So is this your bag? And again, they show me a photo of my bag going under the cargo area. And I nearly lost it. I nearly cried. The first time I've just like, I'm actually broken now. I can't get into India. I've gone from excellent, can't wait to go, can't go, can go, can't go again at 5 a.m. My brain's just popping. And I'm dead set sitting on this chair by myself. Everyone else is on the plane. And I'm like, please, this is the second time I've been rejected going on a plane. I need to be in India. I need to be here now. And they're like, look, we'll give you 20 minutes, but try and sort something out. I'm like, well, what can I sort out? Like, what can I do here? And so I've contacted H again and he's like, well, oh no. And he kept saying, I've got a good feeling about this. I think we'll be right. And I was stressing on, it's not going to be right. Like, easy and positive, but it's not going to be right this time. And he said, just leave with me. He went away for like 10 minutes. And the guy's like, you've got 10 minutes. Everyone's on a plane. Pilot says we have to definitely leave within 10 minutes time. And so again, I'm feeling bad. Everyone's waiting for me on a plane. And I'm just thinking, I'm gone. Like, and you see the 4 or 5 people working the airport talking to each other about looking at their watches and going, yeah, 2 minutes. And with 1 minute to go, the main guy behind there comes up and says, all right, have you heard anything from the other end? And I text him and he said, yeah, obviously can't do anything about it. From I said, no, they can't. They said, look, all we can do is we've rung Chennai Airport, see if they'll accept you. But generally they won't accept you over there because it doesn't match. And I'm just like, this is just insane. anyway, so last call, they all talk. They come over. The three of them come over. One says, "Look, I'm really sorry, sir, but this is just the rules." And I'm just about got tears in my eyes. And he says, "Yeah, well, we have to pack up. So we can meet your bag at Terminal 3." And I'm just shattered because even I can't even fix this problem, right? Because it took nearly 24 hours to get the last e-visa approved. So I'm going to be another day behind basically by the time they approve it again, if it gets through within a day again. So I'm just cooked. This is not happening. Anyway, you hear him talk to the pilot basically saying, we're about to come down and shut the doors, and his mobile phone rings. And I look up and he's like, yep. Okay, so okay, I'll put him on. And I'm just like, what? He said, yeah, Shanghai Airport's actually approved you to go. You're fine. I almost fell on the ground, like collapses in relief. Don't know what I was feeling, like excited, frustrated, tired. And I'm just sprinting down this, not the tarmac, but sprinting down the little chute to go on the plane. And there's dead set, like, 100 people just eyeballing me saying, you're the one while we're late. I can just feel them. And I jumped on this plane and I'm thinking, at least it's a 5-hour flight. I can do this. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm still baked. I'll put some music on, or I'll do a bit of work. I'll read. I'll just switch my brain off here. And I got on there and there's no meals, no water, no internet service, no anything basically. And the seats were hard. Like, it was a cheap flight. It was fair enough. And I'm not being ungrateful. I'm just saying that I couldn't do anything except for just, I saw people actually lying across seats. They were just, no worries. And so I'm sitting just awake because I can't sleep. I'm just buzzing. Like, this is crazy, these emotions all at once. And then I realised that the 5-hour flight, we're still going. And I realised it's actually a 7-hour flight because of the time difference. We actually go back in time. And so I'm just trying to get to sleep. I'm cooked. Well, at least I'm excited going to Shanghai Airport. I arrived at Shanghai Airport. I think I actually got about an hour and a half sleep. And I get off and the plane arrives on the tarmac. A bus picks us up and there's smog outside, and I've never been here before, so you know what to expect. And the buses are full of people from that plane getting on, and they shuffle us off to the actual main airport in Shanghai. Everyone goes through and I'm lining up to go to immigration, and the guy's saying, no, or they said, no, this doesn't work and you need to go down to the next counter. And I could hardly understand it because they're not very good English and I speak fast at the best of times, as you know. And so I moved to the next counter. The guy's like, yes, have a look. And he's looking at me, looking at the photo, looking at the names. And I'm like, here we go again. Like, they're not going to approve because my middle name's not there. So I'm stereotypically trying to distract him by talking about some great Indian players like Virat Kohli and Sachin Tendulkar, because everyone loves cricket over there. And he's smiling and laughing and we're getting along and talking about that. And he said, can't get you through, come down here. And it went down to the immigration office at the end, and this smoky look, it's like on the movies when you're getting busted for, people get busted for drugs or whatever. I'm going in there and there's one person looking at me through the window, through the glass, looking at the paper, shaking his head on a computer, send it to another guy. I'm like, I'm stuck in Shanghai here now. What now? How am I going to get out of here? And I didn't even talk about when I changed my flights to that Qantas want to just lose all my flight legs if I just change one leg of the flight too. Like, it was just insane how the company just said you have to buy a whole brand new lot of flights. But anyway, I ended up just losing $200 on one flight leg. So I won't go back into that. So I just regressed there for a bit. Anyway, long story short, I'm waiting there and just stressing out, going, I'm cooked here. And again, looking at my watch, going, I've got an hour and a half to get to the next flight from Shanghai into India, the main part of India where I need to be in, at Delhi, and thinking, I don't know where to go, where the check-in is, how long it is to process to go through there. And eventually they said, yep, you're okay, you can go through. So I've gone through and I've gone to get my bag off the turnstile going around, and it's not there. So I've asked for help. Is this the right? Yeah, this is the right one. I said, my bag's not here. And of course, I'm stressing out from way back in Singapore. Has it been lost? Has it actually not been on like it's supposed to? Again, 1.5 hours sleep in about 30 hours. This is insane. And then eventually one lady said, yeah, not gone. It's not here. I looked around the corner and it was in a little section called Lost and Found. It was sitting there. I went, that's it. So I showed my ID, grabbed my bag, asked where to go. It's like 200 meters down the corridor, turn left, outside in the heat. Again, 300-meter walk down to the next turnstile or terminal. Up there, and again, it's going through security again and immigration again. And again, it's taken a while, big lineup, and then trying to find where I'm supposed to stay, like where my terminal is. So go through there and think, I can't even eat, I'm just going to get a coffee or something. And so I found where to go, grabbed a coffee, and they told me how much it was in rupees, and I had no idea even to look at the exchange rate, and my little Wise card was supposed to be working and I didn't have a PIN. It was just insane. So I just used my credit card and paid the extra surcharge what it was. It's probably like a $12 coffee by the end of it. Sat down and had 20 minutes before I was on the plane. And of course, in the meantime, Rachel's told my family, and my family's upset and they're saying, come home. And my wife's going, what's going on? You're not getting back to me. And I'm just like, I actually don't have time. I'm just trying to struggle to survive here and know what I'm doing. And I'm waiting there, and then basically 20 minutes later, board the plane to get to Delhi. And so I get to Delhi and let H know I'm here, mate. And he's organised a Uber for me. So Uber from Delhi to Dhendram, where I was going, was 6 hours drive. And I don't know what he paid, but I think it was like $40 or $50. So it was insane, that the price when you look at Aussie dollars. And then I was out there for like 20 minutes because he couldn't find me, because there's cabs everywhere and traffic everywhere. Anyone who's been to India will understand. Like, you see sometimes in the movies what it's like, but everyone's beeping the horn every 3 seconds, and there's car jams. Most cars have got like side swipes on the side of them from, people shuffling their way in. People drive over the white lines just to get to a better position. Like, forget the lines. And eventually he found out where I was, jump in the car. He didn't speak very good English. And we took off, and it was about 50 minutes to get out of the main town there of Delhi, and then we started on the main road, and we're trying to have conversations because I don't mind a chat, and it was just so funny. And I ended up stopping at one place to have I was using H, actually. He was often translating what I was saying to the Uber driver, and we sat down and had a meal together. It was so cool. And then I bought some KFC, which looked like been there for like 12 hours, but it was food. And there's a little shop I went to, and then they asked if I could have a shower somewhere or change, and the restaurants looked at me and just said no. So I had to go to a toilet at the back, get change at least, get back in, take off. And about 6.5, 7 hours later, I arrived, and H was there. When I arrived at the motel, he'd organised me. He's such a legend. And we embraced, massive cuddle, and it was almost like the sigh of relief. I don't know how to explain it. It was just, if you feel what I'm saying, I'm here. I'm done. And just the luck of the whatever it was got me there. And he said, and he had all these like biscuits and cakes and all these things, like just a legend, man. And walked me up to the unit and said, what are you going to do? He said, if you're tired, we can go and catch up like tomorrow. I said, no, I want to go out for a feed. And he said, well, I've got a spot around here. He said, I'll just wait downstairs. So a quick shower, and jumped in the shower, and there was no hot water. And I was like, this is gold. I have to write a better book about this. And so I'm waiting and turning all the taps on, turning all different light switches on. I'm not used to. Not going on. It's not, the heat's not working. None of the taps in the sink are working the heat. So, okay, that's it. I'm just jumping in. I'm jumping into a cold shower after 35, 40 hours. Just want a hot shower. I'm going cold. Straight in, freezing cold. And I know you're thinking they're going, it's not a big deal, but I suppose compounding after all these things, it was just crazy. So I jumped in the shower cold, had like 5 minutes, or maybe even a 3-minute shower, outside working on vapor fumes here, like no sleep, an hour and a half sleep. And then we sat for about an hour and a half, 2 hours in the restaurant and just had a meal and drink. And it was so cool just to catch up with H. And he said, look, I'll see you tomorrow morning around 10, have a sleep in. And I got to bed, and just because my brain was still fired up, and you'd think I'd be exhausted, which I was, I couldn't switch off. So I thought I'd put the TV on. But of course, everything is in Hindu or different language, and I couldn't understand. Even the cricket, I tried to put it on English channels, and it was like ABC News, and I think that's all I had there. So I just went, okay. And so eventually, probably after 10 minutes, I fell asleep, woke up about 6:30, 7 o'clock was breakfast on the deck, did that, and then went for a bit of a walk where H showed me the night before after our dinner. He arrived the next day about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and the concierge at the bottom was stressing out. I was walking around India by myself, I think, jeans and shirt and tats out, and probably not a good look, especially when all the kids are going to school around that. It's an educational province area. And then he actually met me in the coffee shop, and it was just, from it was amazing. And look, I won't do it justice, and I'll shorten this podcast now, but basically the connection I had with H was just 100 times worth what I went through. Was it worth me actually seeing him face to face rather than doing it on a laptop? 1,000%. Like, he took me up in the hills, up in the mountains where the view was incredible. The next day we went down to a special place where apparently Steve Jobs went, and they put their feet in the water, and it's a very spiritual place. And that's where he got his epiphany of, his thought mindfulness of where he wanted to go as a thought leader. And we both sat down there, feet in the water, chatted for about an hour, feeding the fish. It's just incredible. It was just the experiences that H gave me. And then we'd sit in a little cafe either up in the hill or the next day down the mountain, and we'd chat. And probably a quarter of the information was about education made simple, but the rest was just about connecting what H is up to, where his dreams are and goals are. And the time just flew. And one of the most special parts was that when I was leaving on the Friday, I think it was a Friday, so I was there, arrived Tuesday night, at Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday I had to catch a train at 10:45 back to Chennai. I think it was like a 4.5 hour train. I don't know what to expect there, but I remember we had like a few hours to kill, and he invited me into his home. And it was just an absolute privilege to meet him, his family, his extended family, wife, young child. I was so grateful. And, stereotypically, his mother and his wife was cooking Indian food for H and I get to talk to H's brothers, cricket in the background. It was just a surreal moment that we'll never forget. And I'll forever be grateful to his family for accepting me in their home, and fully respectful of them for doing that. And just to meet them all, and his dad, just to be part of that community, I got tears in my eyes now just thinking about it, was just next level. And H and his brother, 10:04 or 10:30 at night, drove me out to the train, and I didn't know what to expect, but it was basically a sleeping carriage train where it's a little tiny section and there's heaps of them. And there was basically 3 grown blokes and me, and there's like two double-decker beds, what are they called? And I was in the bottom of one. I'm just lying there going, you can't see outside obviously because it's dark, and it's like, okay, try and get some sleep. There was 2 hours sleeping there. And as I got off, before H left, he spoke to one of the guys. They didn't know what nationality he was. He wasn't Indian, he was a different nationality, but he said, look after Gary. This is Gary, look after him. He needs to catch a Uber or cab back to Delhi Airport. Please make sure he's safe. And, the guy said, yep, no worries. Yeah. He was a younger guy, probably half my age. And when we arrived at Chennai, he was pushing me through the crowds, and I was carrying my big luggage, obviously, and people everywhere. This is like even at 4:30 in the morning. There's people everywhere. And I couldn't get – we walked across one platform, up 2 flights of stairs, started walking, and he was trying to get people to answer him, and they were being rude to him. And eventually they said, no, you got to go here, platform 19, whatever. And then he actually walked me down, got me in front of one guy, and one guy's trying to, they're always trying to get your business. So he's like, yep, I'll take him. We're about to. And then he goes, oh, what? No, this guy's no good. And the guy's trying to grab my bags, this cabbie, and the guy's looking after me. He said, no, let go, and grabbed it off me. Next guy. And eventually you hear him talking in a different language and nodding heads. And then he looked at me and goes, Gary, this guy's good, won't rip you off. Put Google Maps in so he doesn't go the wrong way. You're safe. This guy will be safe. And then he basically walked off. I said, mate, you're a legend. Thank you so much. And didn't want money or anything, just appreciate it. And this guy took me then out the back streets of Chennai train station and put me in there's 4 people in this cab. They all hopped out. I hopped in the front, and just me and the taxi driver, and he's just flying and beeping the horn. There's no one around, just beeping the horn just in case someone does pull out from a side street. And I'm looking, it reminds me of the Rambo movies when he's in Thailand. I'm looking at outside, and there's like streets with just dim lighting on, low socioeconomic area. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is just an experience in itself. And just thinking, I'm glad this isn't my kids or wife by themselves, because again, stereotypically you'd think this is not a safe area. And he flew to the airport, got off. H, of course, gave me some rupee and dollars, and I paid him, and then went to the plane terminal, and the check-in there wasn't too bad. It was easy, and then that was my flight home, and the flight home was no problem at all. And I think I arrived home at like 9 a.m, and then I was meeting Rach up the Sunshine Coast because she had a conference on. I remember driving up the coast just on fumes again at Mooloolaba, and the unit was amazing where we stayed, and it was overlooking the water, and it was great to be back in Australia, don't get me wrong. But even Rach said, you want to go back there, don't you? And I said, just want to spend more time, because it was rushed, it was stressful at the start, but even the view of Mooloolaba, which is insane, it didn't match the connection I had with H and his family, if that makes sense. I know they're two different things, but the feeling, the euphoria I got of being part of something where you feel like you are somebody and you're connected, it was, I can't explain it, that it was just, I want that feeling all the time. And so that was a journey, and that was the stress and the worry, being upset, frustrated, disappointed myself, not being prepared properly. Anything that could go wrong sort of went wrong in that element. And it's not to say that people have way worse things in their day every single day, but just getting a comfort zone to be able to achieve that, but really mixed with the Indian culture, was insane. And look, I want H to come on to the podcast, and I'll have to stream him in from India at a time it suits. They're 4.5 hours behind where he is. But I want to talk to him about what his experience was from that end, because I know he was stressed and worried too, because he was looking forward to catching up as well. But from our connection there, and I've probably only known H for 6 to 9 months now online and chatting to him with Skype, like he was the first one to wish me happy birthday, and a lovely heartfelt message saying, we're not business acquaintances anymore, we're actually friends. And the synergies there is just incredible now. And so I'd like to get his perspective. So I'll get him on the podcast. Look, I hope you've resonated something, or had a few laughs in this journey and understand. But I guess what's the key message? And I'm not here to preach it to anybody about to be different. But for me, the takeaway was, like it always is, that authentic connection will trump everything. It'll supersede anything you've gone through. You find that one special person in a moment, it can change your attitude, your mindset straight away. To be so grateful to be part of that family and that environment where you could show me around and drive me around everywhere. And it was just insane. It was something I'll never, ever forget and be forever grateful for. So, is there something in your life where you're hanging on to, there's a lot of people who are in trauma, and they hang on to that trauma, and they live in that trauma every single day because that's their safety. They know what they're going to get or be confronted by. Is there some way you can get out of your comfort zone and meet that one person, or go to that one thing that actually might change your life? Is there something that you can save up for and go to, even something that's free to go to, that might get you out of a rut or a negative experience that you're feeling day in, day out? Because what I've found is that most people I speak to now between 35, maybe 40 and 60, that middle age, most people are struggling. Most people are at their part of their life where they don't feel like they should be where they're at. That wasn't what their plan was. And I just think there can be a massive movement where we can get our focus back through authentic connections, because at the end of the day, I still believe that is the thing that changes us as a human species compared to any kind of thing that can try and excite us. Netflix, series shows, sports on KO or Fox, social media, gaming, all the things that they're tempting us. Online shopping, there's pornography is a multi-billion-dollar industry. I'm telling you now, authentic connection, that's a typical example of where I feel that this is where our society needs to go back to have those connections as a human species to improve our mental health. And look, I just want to thank you for sharing the journey and hoping you listen to the next episode when I can bring H on the podcast from India.